Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Valentin Consulting's YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Daisy Valentin, and I am the CEO president of Valentin Consulting, all your accounting and finance and needs. So, we are here with a very special guest, and that is Joey Rodriguez. OMG, we are so excited to have you, Joey, here today. Joey Rodriguez is the president of Cinematic Creations, and we want him to tell us a little bit about what is he doing with all that cinematic creations. Welcome, Joey.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. So tell me a little bit about you, Joey. What is it? What is who is Joey?
Joey, well, so I grew up in Texas, uh, and throughout my time, my dad worked at Shell. So I was always around the cowboy culture, and we got a couple of horses here and there, but not too many. But it more so with the cowboy culture, trucks and country music, and that's what Texas was. And so from the moment I knew, I was wearing cowboy hats and chaps and everything, going to rodeos, and so that's kind of behind me. Then I went into the military, where I was in the Air Force and did a
Well, thank
tour
you
in
for your
Afghanistan. And
service. Thank you for
yeah,
your service.
yeah, thank you. And so then after that, I met my wife on a plane when I was in Texas, before I deployed. And so from there, I told her my secret weapon, my best pickup line ever. So, guys, if you're out there, this is the pickup line that if you use, she'll be your wife. I promise you. So I told her, after we had a conversation throughout the whole plane. It was like a 4-hour flight. At the end of the flight, I was like, I'm going to war. I'd like to thank you. And she goes, for what? And I was like, for keeping America beautiful. And so after that, after that pickup line, we stayed in touch and we became friends. And then I moved up here, and the rest is history.
That is awesome. So, and I bet, you've made a wonderful life with your wife, which is amazing because those pickup lines, guys, if you haven't used that and you're in the service, you need to be using it. They'll stick with you for a while, right?
For sure, for
Or
sure.
forever. So let's go. You said something about having come from Texas, right?
Yes,
What
yes.
are some of your biggest differences you've noticed between Texas and Minnesota? You touched a little bit about lifestyle and culture, but how have you adjusted to the life in Minnesota? Because we got a lot of cold up in here, it's nothing like Texas. I love Texas. I've been to Dallas, Texas many times. So tell me a little bit about that.
So in Texas, it gets hot, triple digits. And one thing that's different is like you can't take off any clothes when you're out there. It's hot, it's hot. At least here in Minnesota, when it gets cold, you can put some jackets on and be a little more comfortable. But I think the difference is there's food culture, different other cultures. I think that kind of like are on different spectrums. For example, one small thing that I think that's small but big in my sense is the food, where I went to a barbecue cook off, or actually a barbecue for one of my wife's friends, and I told her, hey, I'll make some jalapeno poppers. And so the whole time in their brain, they were thinking, this guy's gonna bring a fryer to this like barbecue and fry up like jalapeno. Like, how does that work? So the whole time, I went to the store, I bought bacon. So jalapeno poppers in Texas is where you put cream cheese inside a
Yes.
jalapeno. You
Yes.
wrap it with
And
bacon.
wrap it with bacon.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what and so when I came up here, they thought jalapeno poppers were, something you fry with like batter on the outside. And
But
then
that's a
another
Minnesota
difference,
thing. Everything on a stick.
yeah. And the biggest thing I think was, it's kind of fun and small, but when I asked for a barbecue brisket sandwich, it came with cheese up here, and so I thought they ordered it wrong. So I ordered another one, like saying, "Hey, this order is wrong." So they, oh, I'm sorry, and so they come back with another one. I'm like, "There's cheese on it. Like, who put cheese on it?" And then my wife's like, we always have cheese on our briskets. I was like, no, that's blasphemy in Texas. You don't put cheese.
That's so
Um,
crazy.
but I do see a lot of similarities in Minnesota and Texas. The landscape, it's a beautiful landscape. The wilderness, the wild, and I think both like states have like big hearts as far as like they're proud of their state, and I love that.
And we're gonna get to that in a little bit, but because you talked a little bit about, you know, Texas and different things like that, who would you say has been your biggest mentor throughout your journey? And what have you learned from them that has influenced your career and your personal growth?
I would say the biggest mentor I think ever since I was a younger kid was my uncle Jack, Jack Rodriguez. When I was younger, I looked up to him because whenever we were with him, he was like the cool uncle, and he went for Congress. He was, in my eyes, like someone I would look up to and want to do something like that. So he was always funny and like out there, outgoing, and his life was amazing. Even through retirement, he sold his house, got an RV, and just started living. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, but his heart and mentality still stay with me, and that's what drives me to do what I do.
That's awesome. And we're sorry that he's no longer with you, but he left so much greatness with you too, which is so great. Now, a little birdie told me around there, told me that you have something called cinematic creations. How did cinematic creations come to life? And can you share the story behind how the company got started and what inspired you to found it?
Yeah. So before I had Cinemagic Creations, I had a non-emergency medical transport. And so that's a very niche type of transport, especially the one I was doing. I was doing a stretcher
Mm-hmm.
transport where people who are bedbound, who's not able, to go to places like their doctor's appointment because they needed to be in
Mm-hmm.
a bed. And if they added an ambulance to it, that was like three, four, $5,000, depending on what
Mm-hmm.
type of service. And so what I provided is service for a couple or several $100s versus thousands of dollars, and it was a very good service. But I wanted my name out there, my brand out there, and so it was difficult filming yourself doing your work, right? And or especially with there's HIPAA violations or HIPAA. But
Mm-hmm.
so I went to a videographer and I said, "Hey, can I get a video of this or this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll be like a couple $1,000s." And I was like, "Geez," I was like,
Wow.
that's my profit, for the month. Like, how do I tell myself that return on investment is going to be good?" I'm just like, it doesn't work. I was like, I'd rather buy the new age phone, get a gimbal for it, and now they have things where you can like track yourself, right? And
Yes.
so I did that, and that's where it started. And I think my first video looked like a PowerPoint.
Hey,
And
we got to start somewhere though, right? We got
you
to
got to
start
start
somewhere.
somewhere. You just gotta like ready, aim, fire, and that's it. But when it started going more and more to where I was like evolving the videos and doing videos for my friends that had their businesses. And I got to a point where one of my friends is like, you have to have a business because this is better than what I paid for. That was like several $1,000s. Like, you need to get in the business.
Wow.
So then I started marketing towards people who were like myself that not necessarily couldn't afford a couple $1,000s, but didn't real like, it doesn't make sense of having a video that's going to be done in like 3 or 4 days on social media, and you need another video. So, I made it affordable to where they can have these videos and come back.
That is amazing. So, tell me what sets cinematic creations apart from other video producer companies in the industry. You talked a little bit about pricing, but what unique approach or values do you bring to the table?
So I try to understand their brand. So what happens is like, so the process goes, if they call me, they're like, "Hey, I want to do some videos." And it's like, okay, perfect. But what happens is like, I'll go and research their company, their colors, what they want, their past videos, kind of get a feeling and sense of like how they want to approach the social media. So by the time I go to filming, I have an idea versus like, yep, set a schedule and then go film, and then you don't have an eye of what they want, right? And so that's what kind of sets us apart is the research, the time and effort, and the I guess the vibe when we go there.
Yeah, you got that cool vibe going on. I've seen you at several different events. By the way, everyone, he is there in all our community events. He does an amazing job making that pop for those events. So if you haven't talked to Joey, you need to come out there and talk to him. Now, I have this thing. You were talking about you were in Texas, you moved to Minnesota, but you got a little click style kind of vibe here. Okay. And what I say about that, you got a signature piece to you. And it's the cowboy hats. They're a signature part of your style. Can you tell us about your relationship with those cowboy hats and how long you have been wearing them? And has that always been a part of your identity?
Oh my gosh, I feel like if you wear a cowboy hat, you feel a little more confident, you walk a little taller, and you when you walk into a room, like, you get noticed, right? And I've been wearing cowboy hats since I was, I think, 2 or 3 years old, and I just love them. The older I get, I guess the better quality I get cowboy hats.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna get my cowboy hat. I think I should have had my cowboy hat when I was doing this guest speaker series with you today
You
because
should,
I
yeah,
think
put it
that's really
on.
cool. I'm gonna have my son go get me that cowboy hat really
Yes,
quick.
yeah.
um, really cool. So that's really cool that you say that because you said you loved it, and it kind of probably was like even though you were in as he's showing me through here. Get out of here.
Oh, I
Sorry,
love
sorry.
it.
Apologize for that. He's invading our space. Here's my cup. No, sorry. It's a professional video. Now that's the. I apologize for our guest that's seeing this. So here's my cowboy hat.
Love
I
it.
got
I
my
love it.
Here's mine. So, yes, it does bring confidence. Apologize. That was not supposed to happen. I was not supposed to have someone jumping in here with us here. Usually that does not happen. But today was an exception. We had
Yeah,
no school on election day. How's that happen?
no
But I
school.
really like the fact that you mentioned that it brings confidence. It's really a staple piece. And when I went to Texas, that's the first thing that I was looking for. It was the cowboy hat. And of course, you see mine is all blinged out, right?
No, for sure.
Mine is all blinged
Yeah.
out. But I love the fact that that really sets you apart, not only from what you're doing, what you're talking about, with your unique approach, but it also shows your signature, right? We know who Joey is when we see that cowboy hat. So now I have we have several couple questions here, and I have another one, and it's when a new client hires you for a project, what does the initial process look like? I know you gave a little tidbit about that, but how do you collaborate with them to understand their vision and bring it to life? I've seen your videos and they're amazing. I really like the blooper ones too because you create bloopers. And here we go. We have a little blooper right here with this one. I hope I can do the same thing. I might have to contract Joey to help
Right.
me with that. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So essentially, either it'll be a referral, or they'll contact me on Instagram, or even email. And so essentially, we'll do a phone call, kind of thinking like, what do you want, like, as far as like how many videos? This is like a set price. What I have here. Do you want extra? And then after that, we do the schedule of where we're going to be filming at, and then from there, that's where the little like adjustments go. Because a lot of times, you plan on like, hey, I want to do this, but when you get on film day, I'll put my 2 cents in and be like, hey, what if we do this, right here outside, or what if we do this right here? So then we also have what we planned, but also like off the cuff stuff. And I feel like the off the cuff stuff when we're on filming gets the greatest stuff. Like it's magic, right? So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, it's a phone call, and then after phone call, you schedule a time, and then that's when we start filming.
awesome. That is a great strategy. Now, when we reached out to you, you talked to us about, because you came from Texas, you moved to Minnesota. So there is some unique capturing essence of Minnesota parks that you really, really enjoy. Can you tell me what are some of the areas, or because from a lens from someone like yourself that is in a video producer, video for photography, what do you see? Like, there's a lot of things that we individuals, we don't see that. We don't see these different types of beauty in the texture. Some of us may, some of us may not. I know I don't see it all. So, what made you think about how you see Minnesota in a different in that lens?
So what usually what I see is like, for instance, there's a park, Crow Hassan here, like pretty much in my backyard. Beautiful park. It's huge. And so there's a lot of like differences. There's a place where like there's trees all over and it kind of like in a little forest. And you see that and you're like, man, that's beautiful. So I think if anybody can, if you look at something and you're like, man, that's beautiful, you could definitely capture it on a camera or on a lens, because like whatever you're seeing, that's pretty much what's going to see, you know, through the lens. And whatever, I guess in my mind, when I see something like, oh, that looks really pretty, that's exactly when you need to take the picture or whatever. Even if you're like, you have your kids with you, they laugh and they're joking. Oh, that's a good shot right there. So it's
It's
it's your gut. Your gut is telling you like, oh, it's a good picture. That's exactly what, and it's just a simple approach. Like say you look at a sunset, like, man, that's pretty. You need to take the picture, but there's settings that's involved and stuff like that. But
yeah.
uh,
But sometimes it sounds like you like to capture the essence when you least expect it,
oh,
with no adjusting to cameras and things
right,
like that. And then you adjust it later. Because
exactly,
sometimes the beauty gets captured, or the moments get captured. Let me say that correctly. The moments get captured unexpectedly.
right.
you know I did some crazy thing for Halloween because it was my birthday, and I just told my son, okay, let's get in front of the green screen, let's just take some pictures, and we're just going to put it on the 5 seconds and let's see what we do. And then we started doing these crazy things, and I'm like, hey, I kept telling him, get straight, get straight. But those pictures that he didn't get straight were the best pictures that came
Right.
out because he was acting crazy, you
That's
know so I think that's something that I see in your work too, that you bring that joy, that lightness, that you bring that environment that they're looking for in their vision. I've seen your work and I think it's amazing what you do. Now, there's a buzz. There's some buzz around there that you might be running for the Third Rivers and Recreation District 1 Commissioner position.
This will be
Is
officially, so now that the elections of the 2020 24 elections are pretty much over. I didn't want to like step up my foot out yet, right? But now that it's over, I'm going ahead and announce I'll be running for the Three Rivers Parks and Rec Commissioner for District 1. Elections will be in December 2026. And so I'm putting my head down, and that's going to be another project that I'll be doing. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm so passionate about, the wildlife and how we can keep it like that. And when I was in Texas, and it was beautiful, but there was a lot of land development that kept on, you know, coming in and kind of removing some of those nice, beautiful spots. And, I just want to keep Minnesota wild, right?
Yes, we need someone like you, and I hear your motivation and why you're considering running, but how does it fit into your broader vision? I mean, you mentioned it briefly, but and you mentioned also you want to keep the wildlife, and I love it because I do see new construction. I mean, I just bought in a new construction, so I keep seeing new construction, especially in my area in Farmington, Minnesota, where we want to keep it like that, right? We
Right.
want some new development, but we also want to still keep that small town, woodsy. I call it the Duck
Right.
Dynasty way.
Yeah. And
The
there's
Dynasty
always
way.
There's always compromise, and I feel like what I will bring in is transparency and more availability through my expertise in video, right? Like capture more things out there. We have so many people that can be involved in, with more with Three Rivers, like different organizations that I know that are out there doing, wilderness tracking. And I think there should be more, just like visuals out there for social media. We're in this new age where I think like, look at it as a business, right? You got to be
Hmm.
on social media, do more fundraising to, because what I've heard is like a lot of parks, they're like, for example, Independence Lake, beautiful lake, and I think it needs to be upgraded to the new level where there's no showers there. So a lot of
Hmm.
times you have your kid playing in a lake, and when they come out, you want to wash them off. You're like, they're that's nasty, right? You're like, they
Yeah.
got. I don't want them to have the itch. Well, there's no showers, and then you go to the bathroom. The bathroom's bricked all the way up, so you're sweating your butt off while you're wiping, the kids from the sink, washing them off. So this like small stuff like that, like because
It's
there's a lot
like
of people.
taking something from the beach area and bring it to the lake area,
Yeah, just
basically.
just small stuff where like families would benefit from, and
Yes.
it's not hindering nature. It's just helping people be less aggravated and want to do more with those parks.
So what I'm hearing you say, and this really falls in kind of like my wheelhouse, believe it or not, is what I'm hearing you say is you want to create social responsibility and environmental management with this area, with the community,
Yes.
because those are the specific goals. Everything you mentioned has to come from social responsibility and environmental management. And how is the community going to help you get to that goal? And it sounds like your passion about what you're bringing to this district that can not only benefit this district but can also benefit other districts surrounding in the area. So how how do you hope to make that difference in the community if you are chosen as that commissioner, other than like the bathrooms? What are some other areas in capturing the essence and keeping the wildlife around? What are some things that, like you said, I heard you say, even fundraisers, but how can you get the community involved? Businesses, hotels, things like that. How can you get them involved in what you're trying to do?
Well, that's the main thing. I think just start with the small stuff, like just little small stuff that can be done. I think, for example, I was out there on Crow-Hassan, and I was talking to the equestrians because that's a park where horses and people walk on the trails.
Hmm.
And just as simple as asking questions, and you ask these questions to these people that are riding horses up and down the trail, and you're asking, hey, you love this park, what are some things that can be added that isn't a big expense? And so what
Hmm.
they said, and I'm even like, I agree with them, is like benches. We took our kids walking, and it's a 10-mile trek, right? But we did the 3-mile trek, and there was nowhere to sit down. You walk, and like we were literally sitting down in the grass, and like it's a big park. Like, why would you sit on the grass like in a place where you can rest here and there? Like, it's small stuff like that.
Yeah.
And uh I know that you can get park benches free as long as you like collect plastic from like grocery store bags, stuff like that. And I think if you get 1,000 pounds of like that type of plastic, you get a free bench made from all these recycled materials. So stuff like that, that doesn't need to cost anything, but can help people like when they walk. You just sit down, rest, drink water, and then you're on your way, right? So there's stuff
But
like
you
that.
can also engage local communities or local businesses to sponsor a bench and have their name on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's little things like that it just needs the time and grind, right? Like, if you're
Yes.
gonna have put, and then that's what I would do. I'd have the time, I have the mentality, and I'm rip roaring ready to go.
Well, that is amazing because that really sees your essence. And I see that you capture that also in the work that you do, right?
Right.
With cinematic creations, you go out there, you want to see how you respect and want to preserve the natural environment in your work, right? So
Right.
why not just make that an effort and make it something that you can change in the district, not just capturing it on a camera or on a video, but also make it something that can be expanded. So I think that is so wonderful, that you have done that. And that was all that we have today. And I'm so grateful that you were here. If you are interested in getting to know Joey a little bit more, reaching out to him so he can make some cinematic magic creations, please, his website and his phone number is listed in our comments below. You can reach out to him there. Like and subscribe with our channel so you can continue to hear about so many of wonderful guest speakers within our community and beyond. We are so grateful to have you here, Joey. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And
you.
don't forget to like and subscribe to keep those notifications going. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.